Hello there! Today I want to share with you what I learned from Horace Silver. This comes from his solo on Blowing the Blues Away. Now the biggest lesson I learned from Horace Silver is that it's okay to repeat. Now I actually believe that repetition is extremely important in a solo. So repetition makes your solo more meaningful, it makes it catchy, it makes it memorable. I used to believe that I had to play different things all the time. So let's check out how he uses repetition in his solo. The song is a 12-bar blues in B flat. So Horace kicks off his solo with a very simple line and says, now I think as soon as he hit that third, he must have said, I like that. What else can I do with thirds? So then he starts to develop some ideas using thirds in the second chorus. So now he says, that's his idea on that B flat chord. He says, with those thirds, he then continues to go down the scale and plays the same idea. Now Horace is a very funky player with some gospel influences, so he changes the rhythm a little bit. So he says, so now he's got, that is very cool. When he goes to E flat, he takes that same idea and repeats it on the E flat chord. So he says, we go back to B flat and he plays his first idea just an octave lower. So here's that second chorus. He says, so you can see how he's repeating the idea. He then closes off that chorus with another simple idea. He says, you can see even there he's repeating the same sort of line. And that's just a fragment of the B flat blues scale. So he then moves on to another idea. Now he wants to play seventh chords with the sharp 9. So he starts off with the B flat 7 with the sharp 9. So that's the regular 9th, but that's the sharp 9. And he breaks that chord up and plays it like this. So in that B flat 7 chord, he says, you can tell how funky his playing was, right? He goes to E flat, repeats the idea, goes to B flat, repeats the idea again, goes to F and repeats the idea, to E flat, B flat. In the next chorus, he's got another idea. He now wants to play some diminished chords. And is going to move these diminished chords down a half step. So he plays this one, goes down a half step, goes down another half step. So that's the idea. But then now he's going to break the chord up. So he's going to play. You'd be expecting him to play, but then he does something that he loves to do. He reverses the line. So instead of, he plays it in reverse. So he plays. So now he's got. That's a very clever idea. So he takes the idea, repeats it, and then reverses it. So, and still on the idea of thirds, he plays some thirds that are also going up a half step. But instead of simply playing them like that, he breaks them up. So he's going to play so in fact, this first one he repeats several times. So he says then closes off the phrase with there's a bluesy line. He's just using the first three notes of his B flat blues scale. In the next chorus, he develops another idea. This time, he's thinking about fourths. So there's a fourth on B flat, and these fourths are going to move down by half steps. So and he's just moving them down like that. So just like he did with his other chords, he breaks the fourth up and he plays this time he reverses it, just like he did with his other idea. Instead of playing, he starts at the bottom, he skips the middle note and goes there. So he says, repeats that idea, repeats the idea again. This time he plays the entire fourth, so reverses it, reverses it again, reverses it, reverses it, reverses. So you see, he's simply playing around with these fourths and then reversing them all the time, which creates a very nice movement. So see, and he always closes the line with something bluesy. That very line he repeats. So after he says, that's cool. And then he says, you see, he's played exactly the same thing 3 times. And then Horace is not afraid to repeat a note. It doesn't even have to be an idea. He can repeat just one note. So he says, with that very funky feeling. And he wants to continue repeating that B flat, but this time instead of playing it on the beat, he's going to play it on the end of the beat. That type of feeling. So he's going to play some notes below it, like that sort of thing. So he's repeating that B flat, but with just some notes below. So you can see how he repeats that as well. You can see lots of repetition of that same idea with that B flat on the end of every beat. In the next chorus, he starts off his line with this bluesy idea. He says, repeats exactly the same thing, well, almost exactly. He says, so same notes, different rhythm. So then repeats exactly the same idea. Guess what he does next? Repeats it again. and then always ends with something bluesy and simple, so easy to remember and catchy. That's what I love about Horace Silver. So then he says, this is another idea. He comes down an octave. Guess what he does? Exactly the same thing. How many times? That was about 5 times or something. So he says, yeah, it's 5 times. Then he says, same thing, right? And then his very last idea in this solo, I think it's the last one, he says, you can see again repetition, right? Actually, he's not done with that idea. Listen to what he says after that. He says, so you can see he's not afraid to repeat. And this idea has come back, this one. He used it before in the previous chorus or a couple of choruses, comes back again. So here's the whole solo. I'm now going to attempt to play the whole thing. I hope you can take this idea and start using repetition in your solos. Whether it's just one note that you repeat and vary the rhythm, or whether it's an idea that you're playing over a chord and then you take it to the next chord. Please let me know how your practice is going by leaving a comment below. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you press the like button. And also to support me, please click the subscribe button and turn your notifications on so that you know whenever I put a new video up. So I hope you enjoy your practice. I will see you in the next video.